It's been 50 years since the town of Irondequoit completed its obligation to provide an education to the 490 kids that made up the Eastridge High School class of 1973. Our reward, at least for most of us, was the pomp and circumstance of the graduation ceremony in the courtyard, inspiring words and speeches from important people, and a diploma. And with that, we bid farewell to the Eastridge High School, and each of us took our first steps down the road of adult life. One by one, we left the warmth and security of our parents' home. We stood poised on the edge of that protective nest. We spread our wings and stepped off the edge. We soared out into the wide open world of possibilities and opportunities. The freedom was exhilarating. We were ready, or at least we thought we were, to meet all challenges and to take all rewards that life had in store for us. The months turned into years. Years that were filled with growing families, fun with friends, and juggling the demands of careers and jobs. The years gave way, turning into decades. 5 decades to be precise. And if one stops for a moment and really thinks about it, as a generation, we have seen an incredible amount of history unfold before our very eyes. So much so, I think it warrants a look back to take stock. It was during our earliest years that the civil rights and racial equality movement began, when the Supreme Court struck down bus segregation laws in 1956. In 1957, the space race began when the USSR launched Sputnik. Still too early for us to remember, 1959 brought the country 2 new states, Alaska and Hawaii. Entering the realm of our earliest memories, 1960 was the year that pilot Gary Powers was shot down while flying in Soviet airspace, causing an international incident. It was 1961 when the Berlin Wall was constructed in Germany, which was also the year Alan Shepard was the first person to be launched into space. A year later, in 1962, John Glenn was the first person to orbit the Earth. The year also found us on the very brink of war as the Cuban Missile Crisis unfolded. 1963, we witnessed the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in Dallas, Texas. 1964 brought us the signing of the Civil Rights Act, making it illegal to discriminate. That year also saw our role as advisors in Vietnam escalate into full-blown war. In 1965, Malcolm X was assassinated in New York City, and the Northeast U.S. experienced a total blackout when the electrical grid failed. The so-called Miranda rights became law in 1966. In 1967, we saw 3 astronauts die on the launch pad when their Apollo capsule caught fire during a training exercise. We saw the appointment of the first black Supreme Court Justice, Thurgood Marshall. 1967 also brought us more and more protests against the Vietnam War. We witnessed the assassination of Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy in 1968. If that wasn't sad enough, American soldiers were found to be involved in the My Lai massacre in Vietnam. 1969 gave us the Woodstock Music Festival, as well as Neil Armstrong landing on the moon. It also brought us the grim Charles Manson murders in Los Angeles. 1970 brought us not only a new decade, but also the Apollo 13 service module explosion while en route to the moon. We saw the loss of 4 Kent State University students in Ohio. The year also brought us the first Earth Day, as we urge people to take better care of the planet. In 1972, the voting age was changed to be 18 years old. It also brought the end of the Vietnam War, as the last U.S. troops left the country. We also saw the last manned mission to the moon. In 1973, we experienced not only our high school graduation, we also witnessed the Watergate scandal, as well as the Supreme Court case of Roe v. Wade and the landmark rule on abortion. 1974 was a bad year for President Nixon, as he became the first person to resign the presidency. 1975 brought the first time the U.S. and USSR worked together in space with the Apollo-Soyuz mission. It was also the year that Jimmy Hoffa disappeared, never to be seen again. In 1976, the nation celebrated its 200th birthday. We also saw the first Concorde SST fly from New York City to London in just 90 minutes. 1978 gave us the Jonestown Massacre in Guyana. 1979 was the 3 Mile Island nuclear incident. In 1980, John Lennon was assassinated. We also saw the introduction of the Sony Walkman. It was 1981 when we saw the first space shuttle launch. We saw the appointment of the first female Supreme Court justice with Sandra Day O'Connor. It was also 1981 when IBM introduced the first computer with DOS, and we were entering into the age of computers. 1982 gave us the breakup of the AT&T telephone monopoly. 1983 gave us the first cell phone. 1984, we witnessed the discovery of AIDS. 1985 gave us the first Live Aid and Farm Aid concerts. Somehow that year we survived Coca-Cola's introduction of New Coke, which disappeared before the year was out. Also, Dr. Robert Ballard found the wreck of the RMS Titanic that year. In 1986, we saw the Space Shuttle Challenger explode moments after liftoff in Florida. In October of 1987, the stock market plunged, creating fears of another depression. It was 1989 when the Berlin Wall was torn down, and the oil tanker Exxon Valdez went aground in Alaska. We saw the Iraqi army invade Kuwait in 1990, and the deployment of U.S. troops in the Middle East. We also saw the launch of the Hubble Space Telescope that year. 1991 gave us Operation Desert Storm, with the U.S. military driving Iraqi troops from Kuwait. The conflict was over in just 45 days. It was also 1991 when Los Angeles police officers were videotaped beating Rodney King during a traffic stop. But perhaps the biggest event of that year was the breakup of the Soviet Union, bringing the so-called Cold War to an end. It was 1993 when we saw a bomb explode in the parking garage of the World Trade Center. Out in Waco, Texas, ATF agents surrounded the Branch Davidian compound. In the end, the Davidians lit the building on fire, killing 82 of their own and 4 ATF agents. 1994 brought us the attack on skater Nancy Kerrigan. 1995, we saw Timothy McVeigh detonate a truck bomb in Oklahoma City. The year also introduced us to the World Wide Web, giving the planet access to the Internet. In 1997, we witnessed O.J. Simpson being found guilty of the wrongful death of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson. That same year, Britain returned government control of Hong Kong to China. We also saw the first successful rover landing on Mars. In 1998, we saw the first MP3 players. We unfortunately also witnessed the President Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky fiasco. In 1999, the U.S. gave control of the Panama Canal Zone to Panama. We also saw Americans prepare for a possible Y2K computer crisis. Some thought the world would end. In the year 2000, we witnessed the arrival of a new decade, a new century, and a new millennium. The world didn't end after all, and computers continued to work. But we did see a terrorist attack on the USS Cole in Yemen. 2001 brought us the terrorist attacks of 9/11. It also brought the invasion of Afghanistan. In 2003, we saw the Space Shuttle Columbia burn up during re-entry. We also experienced the invasion of Iraq, removing Saddam Hussein from power. 2003 also brought the second blackout of the Northeast in our lifetime. It was also the last time the Concorde would fly. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans, displacing thousands. By this time, most cell phones had become smartphones. Phones would never again be connected to the wall with a wire and were being used less and less to call and talk with people. In 2006, Saddam Hussein met his fate with the executioner. In 2008, the stock market plummets, posting record losses. But the year also brought us the first black American president. In 2009, the recession hit GM so hard, it declares bankruptcy. It was also the year of the Miracle on the Hudson. 2010 brought the United States the Affordable Health Care Program. It was 2011 when Osama bin Laden's life came to an end. The year also brought the last space shuttle mission. 2013, we saw the Boston Marathon bombing. In 2020, we saw the start of the COVID-19 pandemic and the shutdown of the world. 2021 brought the end of U.S. involvement in Afghanistan, when U.S. troops suddenly withdrew from the country. In 2022, the Roe v. Wade decision was overturned by the Supreme Court, and government-imposed pandemic rules and restrictions fell away. Yes, the class of 1973 has seen some pretty remarkable history unfold before us. But that is just part of our story. Each of us has an individual history, that of family, friends, careers, our successes as well as our failures, all of which has been mixed together with our individual personality to form us into who we are today. Things that were once held so important were sometimes usurped by other priorities. Whatever your history, understand that while you might judge it to be good or bad, there is absolutely nothing about it that can be changed. It simply is. It is there but for us to learn from. A thief called time continues its silent, devious work. It stole away our youth and maybe our health. If we were lucky, it left us with wisdom to learn from our history. Continue to move forward and do whatever you can to assure that when you look back, you are happy with the path you have chosen. It's time to check in with some of our classmates. and see what they've been doing and get their recollections from high school. But first, a few messages from those who couldn't make the reunion.
I'm good. I hope you're having a good time. Go Dodgers. I am still a Bills fan. And I wanted to say a thank you to Brian Smith for putting this all together. I wish you all the best. Take care.
Hi everyone, this is Linda Campman-Rubel calling from Williamsport, Pennsylvania, home of Little League Baseball. I'm so sorry that I will not be able to attend the reunion, but I sure do hope that everyone has a wonderful time. God bless you all.
Hi everybody, Nancy Ostrander-Bloss here, wishing you a happy reunion, happy 50 years from graduation from Eastridge High School. Wish I could be there to celebrate with you. We had it in the plan, but then drive distance from beautiful Texas and life issues got right in the way. So hope y'all are having a great time. Really wish we could be there. Everybody, take care.
Hi Eastridge, Debbie Paperny O'Neill. I hope to attend the reunion in October. Just in case I'm unable to attend, I wish you all the joy and happiness in the world. Go Lancers.
Hello to all my class of 1973 classmates. Sorry I couldn't make the reunion. I'm presently in England, but maybe I'll see you at the next reunion. Y'all have a fantastic time. Now let's find out what's been going on with our classmates.
Sarah Castro.
I'm Brian Smith.
Kathy Blanca here.
This is Carol McFarland Harris.
My name is Catherine M. Scarfia-Miller.
Jan and Gutty Glenwright.
I'm Yvonne Adriano Tino.
Hi, this is Lori Palm Husser.
Hi, I'm the Phantom of 73.
This is Linda Campman-Rubel.
Hi Eastridge, Debbie Paperny O'Neill from Dublin, Ohio.
I live in the Browncroft area of the city of Rochester.
And I live in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I'm here in Southern California. I've been in California since '81.
I live in Denver, Colorado, and I've been here since 1979.
I live in Webster, New York.
And I live in my beautiful country, the Philippines.
And I still live in exciting Rochester, New York.
I still live in Rochester.
I presently live in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which is the home of Little League Baseball.
Some people called me KB, others called me Horseball. Remember that in Gutties?
Initially started as a dental hygienist, and then in my 40s became a physician assistant.
Worked at Kodak for 24 years. Worked in the staffing industry for almost 20 years and a couple other jobs. So yeah, I was working for 50 years.
I worked for the Webster Central School District and loved every minute of it.
I'm a retired state court trial judge.
I was director of flight operations for the largest air courier operation in the eastern United States for a while. I ended my career with Bank of America, working as a loan officer.
My career has been as a dental hygienist.
I am a licensed architect. However, I have always been an entrepreneur, so I put up a pawn shop and went into the jewelry business.
I'm retired from Penfield Central School District. I was an administrative assistant.
And I've worked as a mechanic at Strong Memorial Hospital.
I've been retired since 2015. I was an emotional support teacher for 20-some years, working with students with social, emotional, and behavioral difficulties. I also ran as a supervisor the extended school year program for students who needed their education extended beyond the school year.
I'm a special needs bus manager for a company called Transpo, and I've been a manager going on 27 years.
The accomplishment of going back to school in my 40s while both my children were in college. I'm proud of accomplishing fact that I'm still working after 48 years.
In 1979, I decided to join the military, so I went in the U.S. Army. I spent 2 years in Germany, traveled all over Europe.
I am very happy I reconnected with my high school friends after our 40th reunion. I love them dearly. We've joined a hiking group. We have a lot of fun together. And we travel.
I put up a couple of pawn shops that provided easy and quick financing for a lot of people in need.
I suppose one of the things I'm most proud of is building the air courier operation from a relatively small fly-by-night company to the largest air courier operation in the eastern United States.
Being outdoors, hiking, traveling, spending time with family, and reminiscing.
I love being with people. I love being with my family.
My husband and I enjoy spending our winters in Newport Richey, Florida. We have a home there that we thoroughly enjoy and love being at.
Raising Great Pyrenees mountain dogs for the last 36 years.
Gardening, travel, dipping my hand in photography. I like to play around with the camera a bunch, kind of take after my dad.
Life, traveling, church, my job.
What gives me joy and happiness is my new implants.
I enjoy very much spending time up in the Adirondacks and being around nature. I've connected with some old high school friends, and we have a hiking group here, and I love that tremendously.
Traveling. I really love traveling. And that is why I wouldn't miss this chance to visit Rochester for our 50th homecoming.
I love adventure and to help others in their need and travel with my family, which can also be an adventure.
Travel, spending time with my good friends, and of course flying.
I really didn't have a secret flame in high school, but I can appreciate Mike De Niro.
That would be Mr. Anastasia. I liked him. He was very nice, very handsome.
Tom Sealer. Now, he moved to Webster when we were in the end of 9th grade, so my heart was broken.
Oh, I think it would be better to let it remain a secret.
Carl Picaretta and a guy named Dave who was a senior. So Carl, I had a crush on you.
A secret flame in high school? I had a few. I'm not going to name them, but I had a couple.
My secret flame in high school was Brian Smith.
Who was my secret flame in high school? And I had so many, there's just not enough time on the video to say. So we'll have to keep that a secret.
Secret flame in high school? I liked all the girls in high school.
Depending on the time, there were three. Ann Robinson, Carol St. James, and Wendy Hill. All were girls that I had a thing for in high school.
One of my favorites that I get teased about all the time is Build Me Up Buttercup.
As far as my favorite song is Money, because when I walked into the reunion underage, that song was on the jukebox. I'll never forget it.
My favorite song would be Chuck Mangioni's Feel So Good, because even up to now, it reminds me of Rochester every time I hear it.
What came to my mind was Joy to the World by Three Dog Night, but there were so many, it's hard to pick.
My favorite song from high school is Time of the Season. That reminds me and brings me back to the fabulous high school days.
What was my favorite song in high school was Everlasting Love.
My favorite album was Carole King, Tapestry. I guess my favorite song was I Feel the Earth Move.
Probably American Pie by Don McLean. I just liked all sorts of music, so I always loved the dances that we had at Eastridge. American Pie brings back lots of wonderful memories.
Alice Cooper, School's Out for Summer.
Riders on the Storm by The Doors.
Once, Wendy Hill and I were chatting away or singing or doing something funny, and I started laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing and couldn't stop. Class started and I was still laughing, and I got sent to the principal's office for laughing.
Absolutely not. I was a perfect child.
Never did end up in the principal's office. After a basketball game, a bunch of us slipped into one of the classrooms with some wine. And I remember Judy or Jan and Gutty putting a straw into the bottle of Boone's Farm and saying, "Hey, Kathy, if you drink it with a straw, you won't get drunk. Just drink, it'll be fine."
Yes, in 8th grade, I got sent to Mr. Spring's office for talking in typing class. Mrs. McGuire accused me of talking, which I wasn't, but she was so hard of hearing that she didn't know what she was talking about.
I only was in there to do some filing. I helped out filing report cards, so I really never got in trouble.
I never ended up in the principal's office. I don't even know where the office was or who the principal was.
Does detention count? I had to stay for detention because I skipped school once. Mr. Fitch was so surprised and amused by the fact that an exchange student stayed for detention.
Only time I was in the principal's office is when I broke in for my class picture in the yearbook.
Can't remember if I was in the principal or vice principal's office.
No, I never ended up in the principal's office.
I assume we went to breakfast at Uncle John's Pancake House on Monroe Avenue. Or one of the parks. I can't even remember, but I think it was breakfast.
The skip day I didn't do. I don't know why. I don't know.
Of course, I went and had pancakes with all the rest of the folks.
We used to go over to Woolworths and have Coke and French fries a lot.
Senior skip day, oh boy, everybody went to Uncle John's Pancake House. What a blast.
Oh, you know, I don't remember what I did for senior skip day. But even if I did, I wouldn't risk my children hearing about it.
I went to Uncle John's Pancake House.
I think on senior skip day, I slept in and then went to breakfast with friends.
I stayed in school to look for future pranks to plan.
Senior skip day? We had a senior skip day?
Had to be Mr. Bartell. He was one of my favorites.
Is Mr. Bartell. I got a big kick out of him.
It was Judy Wells. She taught English. She was fantastic. Even made Shakespeare somewhat interesting.
I loved history. I had Mr. Dudash, and he was really cool.
My favorite class in high school was Spanish with Mrs. Arizosa. She was great.
I have to say I really liked Miss Smith. She lived in the building complex at Woodridge Court where I lived, and was able to spend some time with her, with some other students, and really enjoy her as a teacher.
Miss Alice Webster for journalism and Mr. James Smith for physics.
My favorite class was midnight class on a cloudy night when the security guard was at another school.
I did like all of my industrial arts teachers, Mr. Schindler in auto shop, Mr. Grabowski, graphic arts, Mr. Harrison, mechanical drawing. Miss Smith, actually in English, I remember doing some poetry. She actually was really good at English.
Probably not, but if I could, I would certainly want to take with me the knowledge and the wisdom of living those years since high school. I enjoyed it, but I don't want to necessarily relive it.
No way.
Depends if I knew then what I know now. But seriously, my journey from high school to today has been a pretty good ride. Though it wouldn't hurt to be 95 pounds again.
Even though I did have a blast in high school, I do not want to go back. It was a lot of fun, but I love my life right now.
No, I have no desire. But I am looking forward to the reunion and seeing everybody.
No, I don't think I'd do it. I really enjoy my life as I have it now.
No, I've had a lifetime of happiness and adventure, and have been married for 42 years.
Would be tempting, but no, not with what I know now. I'm happy right where I'm at.
I was on the basketball team only because I was tall. It was not because I was good. Don't laugh, Judy. Lynn Simmons could jump higher than me. But the one time I remember getting a basket, I threw the ball into the basket. I'm like, wow, yeah. And I looked across the court, and Mrs. Adams is going, I scored for the other team.
In a highly unusual twist, just as I was going into final production, a mysterious video clip was left at the main entrance of Fly Too High Video Productions with a ransom note attached. The source of the video remains anonymous, but the note demands the clip be included in this production or threatened the reunion would meet with the most undesirable of consequences. It was either sacrifice the reunion or put it in. So, left with no choice, here is the clip from this unknown ransomer.
Carm, do you even know me?
Carmvolo, of course.
Carmvolo, of course. Carmvolo. Carmvolo. Oh, Carmvolo.
The reunion would not be complete without taking some time to remember our classmates who were not given the opportunity to see their 50th class reunion. Although they are gone, they remain our classmates. They remain our lost friends who live on in our hearts, minds, and memories. They deserve to be honored and remembered. It's been 50 years since we left high school, an anniversary not all of us were lucky enough to see. But here we are, still traveling down the road of life, our paths as varied as we are from one another. No one's path was without its bumps, its twists, and its turns. I hope there are many, many more miles of road stretching out before you, and that your journey leaves you with more laughs than tears, more friends than enemies, and much more joy than sadness. as the 50th class anniversary comes to an end and begins to fade into the fog of history, I leave you with a few words of wisdom. May you be proud of the person you have become. Be content with your accomplishments. Surround yourself with the love, affection, and happiness of family and friends. And do what you can to make the world a better place. Until the next time we meet, try to remember, life is a journey. Enjoy the ride.